Okay, so in this video, we're going to briefly discuss the basics of network adjustment with GNSS data. So the first thing that we need to actually clarify is how do we know that we're working with GNSS data? Well, the most obvious thing is the visual cues, a deep blue line. Now, there's several different colors that can be illustrated inside of TBC, but typically this is usually a clear identifier that you're working with GNSS data. Now, the next thing that you can do to identify if it's GNSS is to look at the properties of the actual vectors that define the points themselves. So if you tap on a vector line, then that's what those are. They're vector lines, right? One point was the first point. The next point was the point that was derived from that point. So you have a vector that connects them together. If you click on the vector, right click, and then go properties, it will show you at the top of the page, RTK vector, right? And so in this example, we can clearly tell that we're working with GNSS data. Now, let's go ahead and do our adjustment. Wait. No, let's not move too fast. So the next step before we adjust is actually to make sure that there are no errors in the data set we've brought in. And errors are usually identified by flags. You can see that there are a few flags being thrown up at us. This is intentionally done for the purpose of this video. So what I've done is I've shifted the rod height on one of these observations. And so I need to now go into the properties and actually change the rod height to the right rod height. So if I go over to the actual line that has the red flag and I tap on the vector, I can see that there are 4 different observations that are responsible for the creation of point number 5. Why? Because point number 200 was the one that was the radiating, the pivot for the radiated points, as you can see in how the vectors spread outwards, right? So if I tap on the first one, I can see that it says height is 0. If I tap on the second one, I can see that it's 2. If I tap on the next one, it says the rod height is 0. And if I tap on the last one, it's going to say the rod height is 2, right? So what I'll simply tell you is that observation number 3 was the actual one that I changed. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to change that to 2. And then I'm going to go up to the top of the page right here. And I'm going to tap on the recompute button to refresh what the actual information is. It's no different than typing in the word regen, right? So tap on that button and you're going to see the flags disappear. Good. So what it simply means is the comparison now between each observation at that point is now within the parameter. So we're no longer seeing flags. Now we can go ahead and do our adjustment. So to do our adjustment, we're going to go to the survey ribbon, and then we're going to head over to the icon of the adjust network. Once you tap on that, it's going to open up your dialog box. Now, you will look down in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, and you'll see the word adjust. You're going to tap on that. Now, once you tap on that, the software is going to go through a series of iterations to try and solve the most probable position of where these points are. Now, once it completes that process, it will either tell you that it's passed or it's failed. In this example, you can see that it says that it has successfully passed. And so, yes, we have arrived at the most probable position of where each of these coordinates are. And if you want to know what the probability or remaining error would be in that point, you can tap on the point and you'll see that number being illustrated in the actual results dialog box. If you also want to see the coordinate for the point, you'll also look in the properties and you'll see the coordinate of the northing and easting on that point. And you'll also see as well a visual icon showing that the point is now adjusted. So that ends this video on basic network adjustment using GNSS